Hotter Than Health podcast, a plant-dominant podcast for those looking to expand and elevate their lives. Each week, we will bring you provocative conversations and topics, entertaining interviews, and some of the biggest names in health and wellness to answer your burning questions. You will leave each episode with tangible tips and takeaways and understand what it truly means to live an energized and optimized life. Welcome back to this week's episode of Hotter Than Health. My name is Eliza Gelman. If this is your first time listening, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Make sure you subscribe. Leave us 5 stars on iTunes. I already know you're going to love it, so go ahead and click over to the Apple Podcast app. Leave us 5 stars, and if you feel so inclined, leave us a review. It is the greatest way for people to find us. Now that we've got that covered, this is episode part 2 with an interview with Dr. Daryl Gioffre, and Dr. Daryl is the founder of Alkamind. It's a get off your acid product line where he has created supplementation. He's a highly sought after gut specialist who has been on a number of extremely successful podcasts that we have all heard of, but we got into all things gut health, probiotics, wellness, supplementation, as well as what people can take away from their pantry, what people can add immediately to their pantry, healthy fats. We get into so many things in last week's episode. If you haven't listened to that one, pop over to the most recent episode, listen to that one, and then listen to this one. You're going to get so much value out of both. That's the entire reason that we needed 2 parts. I didn't want it to be a 2-hour long intensive episode. I'd rather chunk it up and make sure it's more digestible for each listener. If you've never heard of Dr. Daryl, go listen to last week's episode, because today on this episode, part 2, we are diving into where we start with a strength eating diet. We want to meet you where you are. If you are just beginning to discover any symptoms, if you are just wanting to reach your baseline, figure out where you are at with your health, if you're just starting to work out, or you're just incorporating more plant dominant foods into your lifestyle, or you just want to figure out what supplements to take, this is the episode for you. It's also the episode for you if you feel like you have a pretty solid foundation of health, wellness, supplementation, workouts, lifestyle, nutrition, but you want to take it to the next level. We are here for everyone. We're talking about where do we start? Specific macronutrients, stress on the body, when it's good, when it's bad, and what is it actually doing to our gut and our immune system. And we talk about top supplements as well. This is a question that we get at Hotter Than Health all the time. What supplements do we take? What are they doing for us? How often? And what's the proper protocol? And are these bullshit, essentially? Do we even need to be spending our money? Because a high quality supplements is going to run you $60, $70, up to $100. We want to make sure that if we are going to prioritize that, we get the right ones. And if we're on a budget, or if we just, we don't feel like taking a bunch of different supplements, which ones do we prioritize? Those are some of the top questions that we get as far as supplementation goes. And with that, I wanted to make sure it was really easy. And the team at Get Off Your Acid and Dr. Gioffre has been absolutely incredible. Shout out to that team. They sent over a great giveaway. Whoever wins the giveaway, all you have to do is go to Hotter Than Health podcast on Instagram. Leave a comment of someone that you think would be interested in this episode or would find value from it. Make sure you're following the podcast on Instagram as well. Every comment is a separate entry, so enter as many times as you want. We will be picking a winner by the end of this week. The winner is going to receive the acid-kicking plant-based protein. It's amazing flavor, the gamut. It's GMO-free, soy-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, no BS. It's got alkalizing proteins and a bit of coconut oil, which we do discuss in the episode. We're giving away acid-kicking black coffee alkalizer to put in your coffee. These are actually travel packets, which I'm extremely excited for someone to get. We're also giving away acid-kicking black seed oil. It's a natural potent antioxidant, and also acid-kicking D3 plus K12. This is a big one. This is something that we talk about extensively in the episode, and I give a couple examples of what I've observed from past clients, from friends, and that's one you're going to want. That is one that I specifically requested from them because I think it's so important. A lot of vitamin D supplements are not cutting it, and for some reason they're still out there. Give yourself a chance to win this giveaway. You will not regret it. Again, head to Hotter Than Health podcast on Instagram. Leave a comment. Every single comment is going to be a separate entry. And best of luck. We'll choose a winner at the end of the week. Without further ado, thank you so much to Dr. Daryl and his team for being so incredible. I'm thrilled to bring you this episode. It's a part 2. Listen to part 1. And of course, make sure you're subscribed on wherever you're finding this podcast. Wherever you're listening, leave us 5 stars. And without further ado, I bring to you Dr. Daryl. Welcome to part 2. Dr. Daryl, thank you so much for coming back. I know we are recording part 2. Last episode, Hotter Than Health audience loved it. They were messaging me saying, hey, I feel like I need to order this gut test. Oh my gosh, he was speaking my language. And also a lot of good feedback. Well, a lot of feedback on how interesting and captivating your story was about your son with the mold and all of his symptoms, and also some well wishes. Happy that all is good over there.
Yes, thank you. Me too. No, we had so much fun, and this is information that everybody needs to hear and apply. Most important, there's so much information out there. There's so much misinformation out there. So, whatever resonates with you, you gotta feel that in your gut. Mm-hmm. But then, literally, you gotta put that into action. And as long as you're just placing one foot forward and adding one thing, that's all you need. Like, that's when I was addicted to sugar. I just added a green juice. Then I started bouncing on a rebounder. But that one thing became that stepping stone to the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, there's this big geometric change in the body. And we don't know when those symptoms are going to go away. God knows when they're going to go away, but we don't know that. So what we need to do is just focus on healing and focus on restoring. And when you put the right things in the body from a diet perspective and from supplement perspective and handling stress, your body has the power to heal. It will.
It does. And I like that, getting back to what our body is actually capable of on its own and what it's made to do. And we talked last time, if you're listening right now and you haven't listened to part 1 was a lot of information on, there was mold toxicity. There was essentially, where do we start with if we're noticing disruptions in our gut? We went really deep in that episode with a lot of tangible tips, takeaways, especially with food, gluten, dairy. So go back, listen to that episode. Today, we're going to be talking about, I even wrote this out. I want our goal by the end of this episode for all of us to have a better understanding of, where do we start at a base level when it comes to diet and a strength eating diet, and then what supplements to take and when, who are these supplements for, and then stress and intermittent fasting. And I want to start with where everybody is going to want to start. Where do we start? Where do we start from a food perspective, from a strength eating diet, what you call it?
Yeah, and Eliza, I'm glad that you said food perspective, because we're in this world right now where there's so much information and so many supplements. I mean, there's a million supplements for everything, right? So number one, we take a supplement because it's addressing a specific deficiency in our body. But going one step further, you can't supplement your way out of a bad diet. Yeah. So we have to start with the diet. We have to start with the nutrition, the things that we fuel our body with. I don't even like to use the word diet. I'm not sure if we talked about it on the first one, but the first one, our diet, and that's the last thing that we want for our body. So in Get Off Your Sugar, which is my latest book, I talk about the first step is chlorophyll. When I was addicted to sugar, I tried for years to overcome it. And it just was brutal, because sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. I mean, it's a drug. It's become
that is absolutely wild.
It's wild. We can't fathom it because we don't look at it as a drug, because it's in all the foods that we eat, but they banned, a lot of different things that are bad for us. Like, why haven't they banned sugar yet? So I have no doubt, who knows if it'll be in our lifetime, but at some point, we're going to realize, or the powers that be will realize, that sugar is a poison, and they're starting to. I mean, it's like the new labeling comes out 2026, and now on the front of the label, you have to put your added sugars in there. And this is going to be great, because there's so many manufacturers out there that have snuck that sugar into the product, and you don't see sugar on that label. You see dextrose and maltose and maltodextrin and anything that ends in "-" is sugar. So there's 10 of those words, which you don't know what they are. You can't pronounce them. You can't digest them. But you don't know if there's sugar. But when you add them up, sugar becomes the number one actual ingredient in that product. So anything with added sugar, you just don't want to put into the body at all, ever. And that just shows you that manufacturer is trying to get you. They're trying to get you addicted to their products, right? So they usually add in added sugar and refined salt and then unhealthy omega-6 fats. So those three things, that's like your potato chip. You know, you can't eat one potato chip, you can eat the whole bag, right? And I've been there a million times over. So you got to know what you're looking for. So the good thing is that the momentum is changing. But for us, like, we want to talk about, like, what can we add? Like, what's going to strengthen our body? And again, the number one thing, what I call the core of a strength eating diet, is chlorophyll. It's so powerful. I mean, it's like, if I do a lot of live blood cell testing. When you look at your red blood cells on a microscope, on a big HD screen, like, red blood cells, it's the lifeline of the body to carry our hemoglobin, which is our oxygen. That's what gives us our life. Well, when you look at chlorophyll, not to get scientific, but the molecular structure of chlorophyll is identical to the red blood cell, except for one tiny difference. The center atom of the red blood cell is iron, where with chlorophyll, it's magnesium. So if you build stronger blood, if you want to strengthen your blood, which is so important right now, with all the stuff that's going on with diseases, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but like, you need strong red blood cells.
Yes.
And how do we do that? We put more chlorophyll into the system, into the body.
What is chlorophyll, and where do we find it?
Greens, go green. Yep, we're talking about greens today. So I would say, like, in my first step, I talk about, like, during your day, you want to add 3 different forms of chlorophyll. So I want you to think green juice, green smoothies, green soups, salads, steamed vegetables, sauteed vegetables. Like, that's what you want to add. I personally love the green juices and the green smoothies and the green soups because it's so concentrated. It's liquid. It bypasses the gut, because most of our guts are a wreck anyway, right? And I always say, you're not what you eat, you're what you digest, absorb, and assimilate. So when you have something in that liquid form, whether it's a smoothie or a green juice, then what happens is it bypasses the gut. It goes right into the blood. And once it's in that blood, now your body can utilize those micronutrients. So green juice is amazing because it's a quick fuel. It's a quick energy, not like sugar where you're going to get that crash, but you're getting those micronutrients real fast. The smoothie is a little bit different. I always get the question, like, what's better, the smoothie or the green juice? It's like, yes and yes. Like, you need them both because they do different things.
Yes.
Smoothie, yes.
Like the juice is not a meal. The juice is not a meal.
Right.
It's what I like to say, at least.
Yeah, exactly. And why is the smoothie the meal? Because it's got the fiber. All right. And fiber is critical, especially with the gut, because so many of us, all have gut issues.
Yes.
We need more fiber. We're just not getting the fiber in our diet. I mean, the research shows that 5% of us, only 5%, are getting the recommended 25 to 35 grams of fiber that we need in a day. That's what kind of, like, the research says. I think that number should be up in, like, the 50 gram.
I was just about to say, do you think that that's even cutting it?
What's that?
Do you think that that's even cutting it, the 25 to 35?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. In Get Off Your Sugar, I say that number needs to be 50. But if you're at, like, if you're at like 5 grams or 10 grams, then 25 to 35 grams will be a good stepping stone, a good jump.
Sure.
You'll be in a good place where you're kind of moving things in the gut, and you're feeding those probiotics, which is what they need. They need good, healthy fuel and fiber. But yeah, I like up in the 50 gram mark. So we need more of that. We need more of those fiber rich, slow burning carbs as well. So that's what the smoothie does, and it's gonna give you that slow, extended energy. It's like it's like a hot burning coal, it's like, that's going to burn for a long time. That's what the smoothie does. And we make extra of everything. It's like every day that Vitamix is on fire in the morning in our, and we make extra of it because the green juices will last up to 24 hours in an airtight container in your fridge. But the soups, like, we make these, like, amazing raw, they're delicious green soups. And Chelsea made one the other day. It was so awesome. And then we'll make the smoothies. Those can last up to 48 hours. So get some of those glass airtight containers, like, double the recipe. And then now you have a snack later, because this is where a lot of people fail. It's the snacks. Like I always say, the battle is won and lost with the snacks. And when we're hungry, and if we don't have something ready to go, then, that bag of chips is real easy. Or, that protein bar. A lot of people say, well, protein bars are healthy. Well, most protein bars are jacked up with sugar, right? So it's real important that we look at those labels. But yeah, that's how we start the morning. It's green juice, and that's what our powders do. It's like, I'm not in there using the juicer. Like, I love juicing, but it just takes time. It's expensive. It's a pain in the butt to clean up. They have more advanced juicers now, but we just take a scoop of our green powder, the Alkamind powder, throw that in a glass of water, and then literally in 30 seconds, you're giving yourself 5 servings of organic greens. It's like, it couldn't be easier than that, right? And then it's
Yeah.
cost effective. And that's how my entire family starts today. It's like the kids cannot leave for school until they drink their green juice. It's amazing.
I love that. And it sets up a discipline because I feel like if you are setting yourself up, you wake up, you're in a fasted state. If you wake up and I like to do my 32 ounces of room temp water with a little salt. And I know that that's the minerals, which you cover, but that's just how I like to start the morning. Like, I feel like it flushes it out, and then I'll do the greens. And I'm pretty loyal to my own greens powder that I use, but I'm sure yours are absolutely incredible. I love every other product that you have, but gotta stay loyal, gotta stay loyal. But
I'm not even gonna ask which one it is.
Good. Don't even worry about it. But again, the whole purpose
because
is
I'll tear it apart. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm so thrilled that you're doing that.
That's the whole thing. It's like we all got to start somewhere. I'd rather people be loyal to one brand or one routine, not a brand.
And I want people to know that when I talk about my products, I'm not here to push my products at all. I just want people to like do things like this that are simple, easy, convenient, because I want you to succeed.
Yes.
For me, like when I started, that was a big part. I love food, but like it had to be easy. If it's not easy, you'll do good the first couple of weeks because you're so excited and motivated to change. But like once that honeymoon phase is over, it's like, oh, I got to clean that blender. I got to do this. It's like,
yeah.
So just be prepared and like know what your day is going to look like and make extra of everything. And the smoothies are really easy.
And like it's more also thinking, how can I make this a sustainable habit for me instead of, like you said, muscling through it? Because if you're trying to have every single day be 100%, every morning routine be 100% and really hit it hard, then you're going to feel like the days where it's only 30-40%, you're going to feel like a failure when really it's better than most. But so you start your day. I have a question about this. I love to start my day with my greens. I typically do a heavy lift in the morning, and I want to get your thoughts on this because it's getting to be, for anyone listening on Australia, I know it's getting colder for you, but soups are going to be the name of the game for you guys. But if you're listening to the US, it's starting to get warmer. People are doing smoothies more often. I love to do fruits and greens and all that good stuff in the smoothie. What do you think of a high quality protein powder? We don't have to talk brands, but a good quality protein powder if you get maybe a lift in the morning and you don't just want to do greens or carbs and you want a little bit more of the other macros. What are your thoughts on that?
Is this before your workout or after your workout?
After the workout. I do the greens before the workout, and then after the workout, it would be something a little bigger.
Yeah, before the workout, I like just a simple green juice powder. I trained with Stu Middleman for many, many years. I never thought in the world I could run an ultra marathon, let alone a marathon. I was always like a soccer player, a sprinter, but he changed my whole world in terms of like fueling my body, alkalizing my body for running. And literally, I mean, I've run ultra marathons on nothing. I mean, it's like minerals is what your body really needs. So before a workout, I would do the green juice powder, or I would do something like a pureed soup, something that's very easy to digest. You don't want to be having protein or fast before a workout. It's just going to slow you down. Your body's going to be working on digesting rather than using its fuel. So after the workout though, I like what you said, definitely plant-based protein powder. I would go with, but I would take away the fruit, because the fruit is going to basically stop, because a lot of people like want to burn fat. I'm not just talking about weight loss. I'm talking about metabolic flexibility, right? Where your body has the ability to choose if it needs to burn fat or burn fuel based on whatever circumstance it's given, fight or flight or just a workout. So a lot of people want to burn fat, and if you put any form of sugar, even fruit, your fat burning potential will stop immediately. So I love, and I had this in Get Off Your Sugar, I talk about this, the exact like formula for the ultimate smoothie. But like, get like a smoothie, use water, throw in your protein powder, assuming it's not jacked up with sugar. So we won't talk about brands, but like sugar is what will stop a fast, will break a fast. That's why in the morning, a green juice powder is probably smarter than doing something like a fresh green juice, because a fresh green juice will break a fast. Whereas something like, again, I can't speak for all green juice powders out there. If there's a lot of carbs in that and they're putting fruit, it will break your fast. But with no carbs, ours will not break a fast. I've tested this.
Cool.
So yeah, so like that's okay to do, because a lot of people ask that question all the time. Like, will this break your fast? Like, no, it won't break your fast, but a fresh green juice will. And I love fresh green juice. So if you want that fresh green juice, what you can do is have that later in the day.
Yes.
And I'll even like take my greens and I'll put that into the celery juice or into the fresh green juice. I love celery juice. I'm a huge fan of that. But back to your question. So after the workout, let's get water. You can throw in your plant-based protein, which I always do. And then I just get in lots of like, I'll throw in a big thing of spinach. I'll get a big thing of broccoli sprouts. I'll throw in a scoop of my minerals, because you need minerals to basically neutralize the lactic acid from your workout.
I'm drinking those right now and they are bomb. They're
The
so
mineral,
good.
oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, they're so good. Yeah, and that's how we recover. So, and I'll put in some healthy fats. So I'll throw in like our protein powder has coconut oil, but I'll throw in another scoop of coconut oil. Maybe some raw almond butter. Like I like, again, I'm not here to push brands, but I like that company Gopal's, Gopal, apostrophe S. I have nothing to do with
Okay.
them, but it's raw, it's sprouted. You cannot do dry roasted almond butters because it's trans fat, and that's obviously inflammatory. So you can really just kind of pick and choose.
Wait,
But more,
go back to that. I know we have a million people listen. I'm sorry, a million would be great, but we have people listening
going
who
there, we're going to a million. After this episode, there will be a million.
we got a million. Send this to a friend, like and subscribe. But can you go back to the nut butter, the dry roasted and non-dry roasted nut butters? Because I want, how can we know if which nut butter we're eating right now is the best to consume, and what do we look for?
It'll say raw. It has to say raw and ideally sprouted. So again, I always tell people the brands that I use. I like that
Yeah.
company Paul's
Okay.
because it's raw sprouted. Like you ever open up Elias, like one of those nut butters, and you gotta you need
It's
like
like
an electric
swimming.
crank. It's like you have all the oil here, then the nut butter's down there. When it's
I don't
raw
like
and
that.
sprouted, it is so creamy and smooth. It's like you don't have to even do that. And
What is it called? RuPaul? RuPaul?
Gopal,
Gopal.
Gopal. Yeah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Gopal's Gopal apostrophe. And they have great tahini. They have amazing products. I love them.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And once you go dry roasted, again, because these are volatile fats, even in nuts, even like almonds, like it's 30% omega-6 fats, which, in the raw nut, when they're sprouted, why do we sprout that? Because it denatures the lectins, right? But like we don't want to have to do that. Like I'm crazy. Like I used to do all that stuff with a dehydrator. Now it's like I'm just gonna find one out there that is raw and sprouted, so it does
Yep.
the work for me. So
Okay.
once they go the dry roasted route, which a lot of people like because it enhances the flavor, those oils that are in all the nuts, they become rancid. They turn to trans fatty acid. So something that you think is healthy for you is actually quite a pro-inflammatory nut butter. So if it's
Okay.
raw and sprouted, it will say it on the label, because if I'm investing that in my brand, it costs more money to do that. I'm putting it out.
Totally.
It's just like if I go to a restaurant and it says wild caught salmon or it says grass fed beef, like I'm paying extra for that as a chef or an owner of the restaurant. I'm going to
They're
put that
gonna
on.
let you know.
Yeah. And it's, those things are very important, because we all know that if it's not wild caught, I know it's more expensive. So we do our best. We try to invest in these foods. Like you got to like be smart, like with our finances. If there's some challenges right now, I know a lot of us are going through challenges. Like where do I want to spend my money on more foods that are maybe wild caught or raw or grass fed, and like which foods can I get away with? The Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15, look those up, because those are where you can get a
Yeah.
little leeway. But yeah, it turns to trans fat, and now that becomes a mega inflammatory oil, not the seed oils. And those
Interesting.
you have to avoid those like the plague. I'm going to tell you the two things worse than sugar are artificial sweeteners and these omega-6 fats,
What
because
are the
omega-6 fats.
what's the most popular sweetener? Artificial
I would say
sweetener.
like aspartame is a really bad one. It's
Yeah.
in 6,000 products. It's even in makeup. If anything, you're having diet sugarless. Like so many people, when they want to lose weight and they're still like addicted to Coke, they'll drink diet soda. Well, the problem with diet soda, the research shows you'll actually gain more weight on diet soda than regular soda, because diet soda has aspartame. So you're obviously not getting the calories and the sugar. But what happens is your brain senses this sweet kind of tidal wave coming in. So it thinks it's getting the sugar, but the brain's like, wait a minute, you're tricking me. I sense sugar and sweetness, but there is no sugar. So your actual brain knows, it's so smart, that it's not getting the sugar. And what it's going to do, you might win that little battle in the moment, but what happens is you're going to actually crave carbs big time in an hour or 3 hours, because that's the way the brain works.
To
And it's
match what you're craving.
craving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, any of those packets that when you go to the coffee shops or the diners you see on the table, you got to
Sure.
avoid those like the plague. They just having one of those will literally wipe out your microbiome by like 50%. It's crazy. Like
Add
they are
some
dangerous.
cinnamon. Cinnamon and nutmeg is like the best to add to your coffee. I feel like it's so good. And I bet, I mean, obviously raw honey is sugar, but if you're going to go for the one of two evils, I feel like you would rather go raw honey. And I feel like a lot of places have that, you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, raw honey, if it's local, you're still going to get about 50% fructose in there, but it's a better option. So
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
never, better, best. Like avoid the brown sugar, avoid the white sugar. Like your coconut sugars and your maple syrup and your honey, that's like middle of the road. Stevia and monk fruit or lohan, that would be like a much better option. But yeah, like you can throw a little Himalayan salt in there, a little baking soda. I mean, I'm drinking my coffee right now. It says wake up, kick acid. It's the afternoon, but this is our acid kicking coffee. So we went, this is thanks to Kelly Ripa. We went through the
We've got
trouble
to talk about
together.
Kelly Ripa.
Yeah, she is the ultimate acid kicker. I love her. But so when she went on the show and she's like talking about how the detox that put her and her daughter on, like it changed her life, and she swore it wasn't responsible for her being in pain. She's like, I'm still drinking my coffee. I didn't tell him. I'm like, ha ha ha, and that's when the light bulbs went off. It's like up until that point, I was telling everybody, like, don't drink coffee. It's so acid forming. It's so
Yes.
acidic. It's a liver suppressor. It's an adrenal suppressor. But guess what? It's like garbage in, garbage out. Yeah, okay, doc, no coffee, no coffee. Here we go.
Yeah.
Boom, right?
Yep. Yep.
So everyone drinks coffee, or 85% of people drink coffee. It's a staple. But what we did, it took us 5 years to get it right in two massively failed launches. We created a powder that you add to the coffee so you can still enjoy your coffee. Ideally, like make that coffee organic. Try to get mold-free coffee, because the coffee bean is the most heavily sprayed crop in the world. About
Mm-hmm.
92% of the coffee beans have pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, mold. And for me, someone who's mold sensitive, literally it can light my body up. So I do drink mold-free coffee. But what I do is I add in a powder which is our powder, it's called acid kicking coffee, that neutralizes all of the acids. So now you get the upside minus the downside. But we also have in things like coconut oil, MCT oil, Himalayan salt, fat burning enzymes. So all those together collectively, it is just like the ultimate coffee experience.
Can I
You're
tell you
really,
that you guys sent me a package before the last episode, and I have had the salted caramel not creamer, the salted caramel
the alkalizer.
acid
Yeah.
alkalizer in my coffee every single morning since then, and it is delicious. My
It's
sister
yummy,
was just in
right?
town. Like I am screaming this from the rooftops. I mean, I've been trying to not really say much because I'm like, I don't want to give it away because I have it. It's so good. And it
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 changes it, yeah.
it and it gives this layer of depth because it has the sweetness and because it has the savory from the salt. So it adds another dimension to your coffee that I didn't expect to want and to crave. And also, here's something that I've noticed that I don't think Kelly Ripa would be bold enough to say. Maybe she is. I have no idea, but
She's bold.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Maybe she wouldn't say it on TV, but maybe she would like hint at it. You know how in the morning, or if you have a cup of coffee, and I know people listening will understand this, you have your cup of coffee and it's like immediate run to the bathroom. Oh my God, it's that moment. You have that moment switch. Since I have been incorporating this, and I will say, I've always added a bit of protein. I've done cinnamon. I try and do everything I can to like neutralize. I'm pretty structured with my coffee routine. But since adding this, there is a less dramatic moment when you feel like you have to go to the bathroom in the morning.
So
It's
why do you
it's
think that? Why do you think that is?
I think that typically when we drink coffee, it's the acid in it is hitting our stomach so quickly. And I do have my green juice before, like I have a
Yeah,
protocol. And it was already not super drastic, but I think it's even more calm now. But I feel like it's neutralizing what used to be a very acidic environment in the morning straight off the bat, and is turning it into more of a neutral environment. I don't know how else to say it. It really
exactly.
does feel like it's calming things down before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's what you need to know about acid. Acid equals inflammation, right? Think about acid from a common sense standpoint. Acid is corrosive. Like literally, it's like, think about like an alkaline battery, like whatever battery it is, like it's alkaline, it's fully charged, it's going to charge you, but then that battery becomes acidic. It's like the thing is like decayed and corroded. It's no different.
Well,
So acid
Breaking
equals
Bad, they were putting bones and body parts inside of acid and boiling the body parts from the
there you
inside out.
go. That's a little bit more gruesome, but yes, that's a good analogy. 100%. So we know what acid does. So think about what that's doing inside your gut, your
Yes.
cardiovascular system. So when you put coffee, which is literally so acidic. I mean, the average cup of coffee can have a pH as low as like 4.2, but on average around 5. That literally is over 100 times more acidic than this tap water, which is really, this is not tap water. This is reverse osmosis with hydrogen, right? Everything we do, we try to make it better. But like what it's doing is that your body's got to deal with that now, and your body doesn't like that acid. Like the body was meant to deal with acid because I always say your body's alkaline by design, but it's acidic by function, which means we breathe in oxygen. What's the byproduct of that? We breathe out carbon dioxide gas. That's why carbonated water is so bad for you, because it's pure acid. Like, why were the masks so bad? Because we were breathing in our own carbon dioxide. We're breathing in our own waste product. It's like if you're in a garage and you turn on your car, you're
Oh
going to
my
breathe in
God.
carbon monoxide. You're going to die. That's what we're doing. It's auto intoxication. We are literally poisoning our bodies from the inside out because we basically hindered our detoxification pathways, because the body was meant to deal with a little bit of acid. You work out, the body makes lactic acid. The body can get rid of that through its 4 detox pathways, which is urination, defecation, perspiration, and respiration, right? So we pee it out.
Mm,
You know what the
mm.
second one was? Poop it out, breathe it out, and then you sweat it out.
Yeah.
So we had this like natural built-in system to do that, but our body was never meant to deal with this insane toxic load that we were being hit with in 2023. And I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about stress. I'm talking about electromagnetic frequency, which is why I have so many EMF blockers in here, because it's going to take you out. And one little thing is not a big deal. But what happens is, just like we can stack up good, healthy things in our body, we can stack against our body with the environment that we live in. So we got to be very aware of our environment, not just inside our body, but the environment that we surround ourselves in. It's the environment in our home. It's the cleaning products that we use. It's how we sleep. It's the people that we hang out with. Because if you're hanging around toxic people, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lower your vibration. They always say you are the company that you keep. Take
Yeah.
the people that you spend your time with, and that's who you are.
I was just listening to this thing today when I was mindlessly scrolling on my my brick of lithium. I was scrolling around, saw this video, and it was even talking about, and I'm like kind of newly single, and then a lot of people who listen are single or they've been going through stuff, but they were talking about even in the dating world right now, in dating culture, there's when you become intimate with someone, there is an energetic transfer that happens when you become intimate with someone. And more so than just having a conversation, more so than any of that. And they were saying how there is more energy in each person's field than ever before in our whole in the entirety of the universe. There's never been this much opportunity for connection, but there's also never been this much opportunity for friction when that connection comes, because you're bringing along the energetic, you're bringing on their trauma and their past lovers, you're bringing on their karma and all of these things. And I think that we're in this space where, yes, we have so much opportunity for longevity and supplements and health and amazing modern medicine, but there's also this double-edged sword of we also have just so much access to everything at our fingertips, and we're just overwhelmed. Anyways,
it's the blessing and the curse. I just spent a week in Dallas with some really like amazing innovators in the health and wellness, and one of them gave a 4-hour talk on AI. And AI, whether we like it or not, Pandora's box is opened.
yes.
And like everything, let's just like social media, like Instagram, whatever your method is.
Yes.
It's like, I hate social media, but because of what it does to like addiction and to kids and us, like we're all addicted, but we have to be smart about it. Like it's a blessing at the same time, because we're able to reach so many people and help so many people. So like, how can I hate it if this
And it's
method
like
of
helped build the
communication.
company, that helps support your family, that helps
Yeah, so
to.
it's the balance, and it's really us using things for good. There's a lot of people out there that are going to use artificial intelligence for bad,
Mhm.
and unfortunately that's the way that this world is going to be. But we have to be promoters of goodness, and we have to use it for good. And I truly believe that we will win that war because truth prevails and goodness prevails. That's just the way it's going to be, and we
I
just
do
need
want
to.
to I want to touch on that though, because you mentioned something earlier that we didn't dive into, stress. And yes, it's something that I also just sent you a new link for when this cuts us off in 5 to 10 minutes. But
Okay.
anyways, we talk about stress all the time and how it affects our body and our sleep and our emotions. Can you talk about what's actually happening to our gut when we have, again, on the a little stress is totally normal and good, and we need it for our lives
Need it.
to go on. But what is actually going on when we are overwhelmed with stress, and what happens to our gut?
Yeah, I think you made a really important distinction there, which is stress is important. It's like when someone's on bed rest, they die because there's no stress to the body. Stress actually forces our bodies to heal. But the problem is that we are all subjected to high levels of this constant chronic physical, emotional, chemical, electromagnetic stress. It's literally like we're marinating in our cortisol 24/7. I always say that. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing more acidifying or inflaming to your body and your gut than stress. It outweighs anything you can eat or drink a million times to one in terms of what it does to our bodies. I coined something called the WMD diet, weapons of mass destruction, WMD with two little S's. Well, they're really big S's. But the S's stand for sugar. So W is wheat, M is meat. So obviously too much animal protein from bad quality. D is dairy. We're the only mammals that consume another mammal's breast milk after weaning. The S is sugar, and then the last S is stress. And the problem with stress is that when you're stressed, your brain is primitive. Your brain is kind of old school, so it can't distinguish between T-Rex breathing down your neck because it wants you for lunch, or emotional stress 24/7 from something going on with work, or the Instagram kind of slot machine, or whatever. There's a million emotional stresses that we are all subjected to every single day. You don't even realize it. I remember when I was in New York City, my practice, I think I read the study showing that the average New Yorker had 2,000 conscious stresses, 3,000 subconscious stresses. This is like before the pandemic, and I think it was even higher than that. So we're surrounded by it. And the problem with this is that when we're stressed, you're in a state of fight or flight. And when you're in a state of fight or flight, it's like this. It's full awareness. Everything is focused outward. We're projected outwards. That's not a time that you can go inward and focus on growth and repair. I always we moved to Naples, Florida, and I always use the analogy of the hurricanes. We had a hurricane here in last September, and when there's a hurricane, you're not going to remodel your kitchen. And what I mean by that is it's not a time to go inside and start to fix things and put the mirror up. No, it's like you're going to board up your windows, or you're going to run away from that city so you kind of escape the hurricane, or you're going to be so scared that you freeze like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
That's the fight, flight, freeze response. And the problem with that is when you're in fight or flight and you're focused on just like, am I going to get eaten by a T-Rex or that saber-tooth tiger? Like, do you think your body cares about digesting its food?
Yeah.
What's that?
No, I was vocalizing. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, do you think your body cares about its immune system, which 80% of your immune system lives in your gut? No, it's like your body doesn't care about that. So it shuts down your immune system. It shuts down your digestive system. So we should have hydrochloric acid in our stomach so that when we eat the food, we can actually digest our food. And it's the biggest problem. Hippocrates said, look to the gut, it's the cause of all disease. I say, yes, let's take it a step further. Look what's on your plate, but look at the levels of hydrochloric acid, because if we're not digesting our food, you can't assimilate. You can't take that food in for fuel. If you don't have enough hydrochloric acid, then you're going to get food sensitivities because you're not breaking that food. That's inflammation. If you don't have enough hydrochloric acid in the stomach, what's going to stop and kill those stealth pathogens, which everybody has? I've done thousands of gut tests, GI map, DNA stool sample tests. I've seen stealth pathogens in 100% of every sample. I'm talking kids, adults, you name it, some less, some more. And the whole reason behind this is that our guts are out of balance. It's dysbiosis, out of balance. And that really stems to this. So when we're stressed, the hydrochloric acid levels they become non-existent. And that's, by the way, what PPIs do, right? That's what the doctors give people for reflux.
Oh, yes.
Which is insane. It's insane. Now, my dad died of esophageal cancer, so I have a heavy heart for this topic. I wish back then when he got sick, I knew what I knew now. I would have put him on a PPI for like a few months while we figured this whole thing out and got things course corrected. So drugs are for crisis care. That's it. There's nothing healthy or caring about it. It's not healthcare, it's crisis care. But what's happening is they're giving all these people PPIs, which is things like Nexium and Prilosec, like candy. So now you're taking low levels of acid, which, by the way, is the cause of acid reflux, not too high levels of acid, which is kind of contrary to what we might think, because it's like, oh, yeah, it's causing the burn, so you think it's too much acid, but it's not. It's lower levels of acid in the stomach that really are creating this, and this valve here that's not working properly because we don't have enough magnesium in the diet. So reflux patients out there, you got to get more minerals, trace minerals, like you say. You put the Himalayan salt or the real salt in your water, the green juices, the Epsom salts, baths. Like we need more of that because we're so deficient in minerals. But again, back to like what these pharmaceutical companies have done, they have literally created like ill health in so many people who are literally stuck in this because maybe they feel a little better on the PPI, but now that low acid environment in the stomach has become zero, negligible. So now you can't digest your food because there is no acid. You have massive amounts of food sensitivities because you're not digesting your food. Even eating something like an avocado, you're not going to digest it. And then you get these incredible stealth pathogens like parasites and candida and mold and H. pylori and bacteria like Pseudomonas and Citrobacteria and strep, which is what causes PANS panda, which we talked about last session. So any brain fog out there like strep, you gotta look for strep in the gut. It's one of the major causes of brain fog. If you have sinus issues, look to the gut because usually there's some form of bad bacteria that's working its way up into the sinus because the sinus cavity is the same mucosa. It's the alimentary canal. It's all connected. So again, this is why it's so important that we do things to manage stress, because when we're stressed and we're not getting out of that fight or flight situation, I don't care how healthy, you can eat the best, most organic strength eating diet, but if you're stressed, you're going to be in trouble. So we have to manage stress. We got to do things like breathing and forest bathing and brain tap and all these like fun things that's going to just kind of help kind of keep us in that, you know, in between state. So we're not like fight or flight. We don't want to be heavily parasympathetic either. It's the balance, like anything. It's like the yin and the yang. It's like we want our body to be in balance.
It's like you can still go to the club and have a Red Bull vodka, but you also must forest bathe the next day. Got it. But just pick the two spectrums. I want to touch on magnesium a little bit. It's something that we've definitely spoken about on other episodes. I take a magnesium supplement. I love it. I think that it's important. Can you talk about supplements for a minute? And I don't want to overwhelm people and tell them all these millions of different supplements. Of course, there's the greens juice and the alkalizing powder and the minerals. But when it comes to actual supplementation, if someone is struggling with their gut and maybe they don't know where to start, I am reluctant to always say, oh, you could try a probiotic because sometimes that inflames things even more. Where would you recommend? I mean, and that could be totally wrong, but what do you think as far as supplements from a broad spectrum and a really simple way to support gut health? Where would you start?
Yeah, and this is not only gut health. This is just overall health of the body. There's research in both my books. I thought this question is such a great question, Eliza. I thought it's such a good question. I actually found research showing like what are the big 5 supplements that we all need to take every single day, no matter how old we are, no matter how young we are, no matter if we exercise or don't exercise, no matter how good we eat or bad we eat. We just cannot get it from our diet. And number 1 on the list is magnesium. I mean, magnesium is the 4th most abundant mineral in the body, but it's the most deficient for various reasons. One, because we consume so much sugar. You need about 54 molecules of magnesium to neutralize 1 molecule of sugar. So if we're very carb heavy, the body's just eating away its magnesium sources. But bigger, and Caroline Dean talks about this in Magnesium Miracle, that it goes to our soil. You know, you look at like all the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and synthetic fertilizers, they just strip away the mineral content from the plants. And this is why we are getting sicker as a nation. This is why our longevity is actually decreasing for the first time, our lifespan in human history.
All right, I'm going to say this again. If you are anything like me, and you're sensitive to caffeine, but you still want to find something that will stimulate you, keep you focused, and help you really complete your workouts. I'm incredibly guilty of getting to the gym and not, if I don't have much of a plan or a structure, I'll just go until I'm tired, I'll skip a bunch of reps at the end. I'll think, oh, I already did 3 sets. I don't need to do that fourth extra one. But sometimes those commitments that we make to ourselves can make all the difference in the world. That is why I've been loving Peak Power Performance from Organifi. This is a new focused hydrating pre-workout blend. It's got lion's mane, neurofactor, and bacopa to give you long-lasting focused energy. It has 100 milligrams of caffeine. I actually only use half of this. I use half, especially if it's in the middle of the afternoon. Anything past 2 p.m., it's even less. But these work so beautifully to give you long-lasting focus, and it doesn't have that jittery, hot feeling that you get from other pre-workouts. It also doesn't taste like a sporty energy drink. It tastes more of a natural, citrusy, fruity, easy sippable drink. There's 100 milligrams of caffeine from the green tea and guayasa. There's electrolytes from sodium and potassium, and it's a fantastic pre-workout for focus and energy. So, I'm a huge fan of electrolytes, so that's why I also love the fact that it has those in there. Not a lot of other pre-workouts are prioritizing that enough from natural and organic ingredients. If you want to try out this pre-workout and let me know what you think, you can get it for 20% off using the code HTH. All you have to do is head to Organifi.com/HTH and you will get 20% off. You can also check out all of my favorite products. This is the Organifi Peak Performance. It is on the homepage if you head to Organifi.com/HTH or just use the code HTH for 20% off and check out all the other products like the green juice, like the protein powder. And I'm telling you, you can just set up your entire wellness and fitness regimen all on this one page. That's Organifi.com/HTH for the Peak Performance.
So, the soil is massively depleted. The animals eat these plants. The animals don't get what they need. We eat animals. So there's just the whole food chain is depleted. So we have to supplement with magnesium. And let's think we want to take a magnesium supplement. And I actually formulated one. We're launching one in about 8 weeks or so. And
oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting because I'm like, magnesium does so many things for the body, but I'm really targeting the gut, brain, heart axis. Like 3 specific forms of magnesium that's going to really go after the 3 most important axes that all communicate with each other. So you have to supplement with magnesium. The research shows that we can get, if you're eating, let's say 80% plant-based, your diet, you're going to get probably about 200 milligrams of magnesium from that part of your diet. And we really want to get about 600 milligrams throughout the day. So that means we would supplement with 400 milligrams more. So I would want to go easy though, because if it's not like calcium that gets stored in your body if you get too much, which is dangerous. Magnesium, you'll get diarrhea, right? So you'll know when you hit your threshold and limit. So I would start with 150 milligrams and just see how you do with that, with some food, and then kind of go up from there. But just like exercise variation, I like mineral variation, magnesium variation. With our kids, we'll put some magnesium lotion on their arms or magnesium.
Yeah.
Cool.
I do some on my chest and on my neck before I go to bed. And who knows, it's probably just lavender essential oil. There's some magnesium in there, but it's fine. I'll take it.
It's
but
great before you go to bed, and it doesn't
Yeah.
make you sleepy. Magnesium is a powerful neutralizer of acid. And at nighttime, your body's most acidic. The body's most acidic between 1 and 3, and it peaks at 5. That's the liver time. That's when your body is detoxifying. So
1
your
and
body
3
needs a
a.m.
helping hand. So magnesium will neutralize the acid, so your body doesn't have to use its own resources like magnesium from its muscles or calcium from its bones or bicarbonate from your teeth to do that neutralizing. So that's the whole purpose of alkalizing. It's not to make your body more alkaline. That's impossible. Your blood is always constantly at a pH of 7.4. It's like a thermostat, like your temperature. So it's about giving your body excess minerals so you don't have to use your own, because we are depleted in minerals. So I like Epsom salts baths with some baking soda, because Epsom salts is magnesium. So really try to get it from a variety of sources. You started out the whole conversation how in your water you put in some trace minerals, a little sea salt or Himalayan salt, or real salt, which I love. So that's number 1. Let's get the magnesium. Number 2 is omega-3 fatty acids, fish oil, super important. Research shows there's about 96,000 deaths that can be prevented from omega-3 deficiency. Why? Because what do omega-3 fatty acids do? They downregulate inflammation. They lower inflammation, not just in our bodies, our cardiovascular system, but our brains. And that's what we talked about last time with the finger prick test.
Yeah.
we're actually measuring our omega-3 acid inflammation test. So omega-3s are critical. Children, babies, they need it, but they need more. There's two parts of omega-3 fatty acids. There's DHA and there's EPA, right?
Yeah.
DHA is really what more of like the babies and the kids need. That optimizes brain function. Their brains are developing, so they need more DHA.
Isn't
We are
that something that they recommend pregnant women take?
Yeah, all of I mean, when my wife was pregnant, I had her take 3,000 milligrams, which is we have a great fish oil. It's 3 soft gels of that. So I had her take 3 soft gels of our omega-3s. But remember, there's a growing baby, and 3 weeks into the baby's formation is the formation of the brain. And the brain is going to actually control and coordinate the function, the growth of every other organ, cell, tissue in the body. So that baby needs more DHA for its brain. So what I had her do, and I have all my clients that are pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant do, is take 3 grams of fish oil or 3,000 milligrams, and then take about 750 milligrams of an infant or child omega-3. And that would be more
Okay.
DHA. So they're taking like the adult one, which has more EPA. Well, what does EPA do? That lowers inflammation. We need that as adults because our brains are formed, but we are massively inflamed. So we need a fish oil that has double the amount of EPA than DHA. But kids and babies, they need the opposite. They need more DHA. So if you're pregnant out there, I would take an adult, like again, we have a great one called acid kicking omega-3s, but you take about 3,000 milligrams of that, but then stack onto that a child's DHA or a toddler's DHA or an infant DHA that has about 750 milligrams. So now you're giving the baby what it needs. Because here's the problem. One of the biggest causes of postpartum depression is omega-3 deficiency.
That is the craziest thing because I've heard so many women speaking about postpartum depression. Can you continue? Sorry, I interrupted, but continue.
Yeah, and magnesium deficiency is a big part of that as well. So like that's the two big things I really pump up in all of my clients who are pregnant. And I remember my wife, both pregnancies, like she didn't have a single morning of morning sickness. It's not like she's like some superhero that she is. But like she put the right things inside the body so that the body's not deficient. If we don't have enough omega-3s, all right, during pregnancy, guess what? The growing baby will find a way to get them no matter what. Well, how does the baby get them? It robs Peter to pay Paul. It steals them from mommy. So now baby's stealing it. And baby's probably still not getting enough, but now mommy becomes massively deficient.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake I see pregnant women make is that they take a prenatal that has everything in it but the kitchen sink. They take a prenatal that has omega-3s in it, that has vitamin D in it. No, like those oils, number one, will go rancid when they make that supplement. So you don't want them in there. Plus the amount that's in there is so minuscule because you have a million other ingredients in there. So there's like the one, I think it's called Baby and Me. It's you only have to take two tablets. It's got all the good stuff that you need, the folic acid, but it doesn't have fish oil and it doesn't have D3. You take those separate.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
now you'll know exactly what your body needs to take.
That's
And
why
that's
I'm
the
always
biggest.
skeptical. That's why I'm always skeptical about multivitamins because I just think I'm not sure if they're trying to cram so much stuff into one little pill. Am I missing the mark on the really high quality nutrients? Obviously, every brand is different and it has different
But
quality
you're
and
right.
different protocol.
But
But
you're right. If you look at the amounts of those ingredients, they're so minuscule. So they look good because you see like a million things on there. Again, everything but the kitchen sink. But the problem lies is that there's not enough of one single ingredient in there to make a marked difference in the body. So less is more.
but
Less is
then
more with everything when it comes to supplementation.
but
So
then there's
important.
things like emergency, and then you're just pissing out radioactive vitamin C for look, I
So I remember when we were doing live blood back in my office in New York, and someone was so acidic, and she was taking like 4 of those a day. We actually measured the pH, and it was like so acidic because they put all these other artificial sweeteners. I don't even know what's in it, but like things in it like citric acid that
yeah.
comes from aspergillus fungus and all this other stuff.
Poor
So
girl got a UTI just trying to get her immune system up.
yeah,
Mm,
so like take like a good form, like a liposomal vitamin C. And
yeah.
it's gonna really like boost immune system function. Don't take it like with all the other crap in it. So you gotta be very careful of what's in it. Really, the most important part is the other ingredients. So again, fish oil, you gotta take the fish oil, especially if you're pregnant. Stack on some extra DHA for the baby growing inside you. And then when the baby's born, like the three, well, we'll get to what the baby needs if you want to, but that's number 2. Number 3 is a probiotic. We get 1/1,000,000th the amount of probiotics that our ancestors used to get. Now it's important to eat fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut, avoid the kombucha, but we have to supplement with probiotics. You want to switch it up, minimum every 90 days, but every month or so, it's good to get different strains. So probiotics are so important because your gut is at war. You got the good guys, you got the bad guys, you got the flowers versus the weeds. The flowers is that healthy flora. Those are the probiotics. And guess what? They're being taken out by the snipers in your gut. And I see this with our gut testing. It's so fascinating. Like you can see the gut just massively depleted, leaky gut. And they're like, I'm taking probiotics. I'm like, yeah, but you're not taking out those weeds, like the bad bacteria. So yes, we've got to take a probiotic, but we also have to make sure that we're looking at our gut and that the gut is not overwhelmed with bad bacteria, which is what happens when we eat sugar and dairy and grains and things like that. So take a probiotic every single day, please. It's very important. And then number 4 and number 5, we lump together in our supplement. It's D3 with K2. D3, vitamin D3 is critical. I can't tell you, I do blood testing all the time, comprehensive blood panels on my patients, and the range for vitamin D is 30 to 100. If that number was 31, Eliza, what are most doctors going to say to their patient? What do you think?
They're going to say, oh, well, you're within the range.
Yeah, they're not going to say anything.
No, they're not going to say anything.
Because it's in the range. If that was 29, the lab will flag it low. Then they'll say, all right, you need to take D. And then what are they going to say? You need to take 50,000 IUs of D2, not D3, D2, which is a highly synthetic, unabsorbable kind, once a week. It's garbage, scrap. Body can't utilize it. It's so backwards. So what we need to do is take D3 in a liquid form, all right? And it's fat soluble, which means to get into your cells to give you what you need, it's got to be mixed with fat. So either eat it with a meal. We did it. We made it easy. We just put some MCT, some hemp oil in there, and some olive oil in there. And when you take that liquid and put it in, it gets absorbed right away. Now, I like liquid because it's just easier for your body to take it in.
Sure.
But like, what's the K2 part of this? So D is critical because it's not even a vitamin, it's a hormone. It literally helps bringing calcium with the help of magnesium into the gut, from the gut into the blood. So it's important for bone strength. But like once that, and it's also for immune strength and for your hormones. I mean, there's a million things that vitamin D does. But once that calcium gets into the blood, it needs to be directed where to go. That's where K2 comes in. Your body gets K from like vegetables and things like that, but it's very hard for it to get the K2. So the body needs to be supplemented with K2. It's a big deficiency. So when we get the K2 drives the calcium into the bones. Without K2, what happens is the calcium can't find the bones. It goes to all the wrong places we don't want it to go. It goes to your kidneys, causing kidney stones.
Yeah.
It's a calcium overlay. It goes to your blood vessels, causing high blood pressure, also called hypertension. It goes to your brain, will cause plaquing and dementia. I mean, calcium is critical. I mean, it's the #1 most abundant mineral in the body, but too much calcium, the average female is getting 10 times the amount of calcium that they should be. Literally.
That's wild.
This is such an important topic. It literally is the bullet in the body because calcium, too much calcium, while the right amount of calcium is so important to strengthen your body and your bones, too much calcium promotes cell death, especially neuronal death of the cells of your brain. So like this is a big problem in the world of osteoporosis and osteopenia because all these doctors are saying, you need to take 1,500 milligrams or 2,000 milligrams of calcium. Oh, and here's calcium carbonate, the cheapest form of calcium, which is, by the way, 25% of the population can't even absorb, which might be a good thing for them. So they're taking this calcium into the body. And the problem is that, #1, it's not making your bones stronger. #2, it's actually causing bad effects to your brain. One quick study. They took nurses from Harvard University. They were aged 70 to 92. It was a big study. I forget the amount of people. It was a big study. They gave one group a placebo pill, like a sugar pill. The other group, they gave 1,000 milligrams of calcium. I think it was calcium carbonate. The group that got the calcium not only had double the amount of hip fractures, which you would think wouldn't happen if calcium strengthened your bones. They got double the amount of hip fractures, but get this. They had a 700% increase in the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Why is that? Because the calcium didn't go to the bones, it went to the brain. And when it went to the brain, it caused plaquing. And that plaquing is what led to, obviously, the dementia.
Wow.
So it's not a calcium deficiency when you have osteoporosis. It's a magnesium deficiency. The same thing that happens when you have reflux. That valve here that opens and closes the muscle, and it gets stuck. And that's what causes that acid to flow up. So it's because we have a magnesium deficiency. So magnesium, again, is the mighty mineral that we're deficient in. Most of the time, it's not calcium. And that's why these products are so bad. I mean, if you look at something like dairy, it has 10 times more calcium than it does magnesium. You're not going to absorb it. It's not usable. Something like orange juice, 27 times the amount of calcium than magnesium. Here's how you know you have a bad calcium supplement. If there's calcium and magnesium, which there always should be, there should be a 1-to-1 ratio. So in our minerals, there's 75 milligrams of calcium citrate, 75 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. You need to have equal parts of magnesium to absorb all of that calcium. If there's more calcium in your calcium supplement than magnesium, throw it away or give it to someone that you don't like, because it's not going to go to the right places. It's going to be absorbed and cause damage. So that's how you know that the company that's making that, whoever did the formulation or the biochemistry behind it, just didn't know what they were doing, because it has to be a 1-to-1 ratio.
That is fascinating. I was talking to someone this morning about their doctor. They just did a bunch of blood work and they were getting some different supplement recommendations, and their doctor recommended that they take a calcium supplement. And I asked her why, and she was like, I don't really know, just because they recommended it. But then she also, and then getting back to what you said earlier about magnesium and I'm sorry, D3 and K2, she said that she had been dealing with insomnia and this like fluff that she just couldn't lose, is heavy water weight. She felt really uncomfortable. And she's early 40s and really vivacious and incredible. She said that her doctor took her levels, and you mentioned the spectrum of, I think, 20 to 100 or something for vitamin D. She said that her levels were at about a 25. And in the basement. And she was like, I could not understand why I was so tired throughout the day, but she had insomnia at night. She has been taking a D3 and K2 supplement for the past 2 weeks, and she's like, I feel like a different person. And I think that it's so wild. The threshold that we feel for wellness is so low that at the moment that we feel 10% better, we think, oh my gosh, the world has changed. I'm going to be on this supplement forever.
Liza, I love this. I always say this line, like, would you rather be happy or just not sad? Would you rather be healthy or just not sick? When I look at my labs, I'm not looking at lab range, which is like I'm about to go over the cliff and die. I'm looking at optimal functional range. So I don't want you at 25. I don't even want you at 35. I want you in that 60 to 90 range.
That's what she said.
That's
she was
where
like,
we kick cancer's ass up there, right? And so if someone is below 40, if one of my patients is below 40, what I'll do is I'll have them do 10,000 IUs, which is a full dropper of our vitamin D, for about 30 days, just to pump it up into that above 40 range. And then I'll bring them down to half of a dropper, which is 5,000 IUs. And that'll kind of land them in that zone. But vitamin D, you don't want it too low, but you also don't want it too high either. So you can check your vitamin D levels on a comprehensive blood panel. You can do it from just a finger prick test, where you're just testing your vitamin D. In fact, when we talked about our omega-3 inflammation test kit, you can also test as an add-on to this vitamin D levels with the finger prick, which is really cool. So it's one of those numbers you have, if you don't know your vitamin D number, you have to know that number. It's critical. And that vitamin D, like I said, it's not a vitamin, it's a hormone. It's responsible for so many different functions in the body. And again, the doctors are, if it's above that number, but within lab range, they're not saying a word to you most of the time.
Yeah. And for anyone who is listening to this thinking, oh my God, I'm so screwed, I need to, go get my levels checked right now. Like, you just don't, I mean, I think that, and I pride myself on having a pretty healthy lifestyle. And I'm already like, fuck. But here's the good news is we are doing that giveaway. And I lucky for you all, this is one of the supplements that I didn't steal for myself. It is the Acid Kicking Greens plant-based protein. We are doing a D3 K2 giveaway. So if you do want to be entered into that giveaway, we're going to do an entire package of all of these things.
You know what? I'm going to throw in a fish oil. I'm going to throw in a black seed oil.
We have black seed oil, but we'll do another one.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's just go. Let's have some fun with this, because
okay.
People need it. But yeah, and don't get overwhelmed. We're throwing a lot of stuff at you, but just meet yourself at where you're at. When I was 25 or however many years ago, when I was really addicted to sugar, I couldn't add all this stuff in. I would have went crazy. So what I did with the green juice, that's all I could handle. And you know what? That green juice got rid of my addiction to sugar in about 3 weeks. But then I started stacking. I started bouncing on a rebounder. And then I started having some salads. And I didn't take away the sugar, because for me, it was a drug. It was too hard. But I just started adding. So that's kind of what we want you to do. So if there's one, if you're taking any supplements right now, start with magnesium.
Yeah.
Right? Pick one, start with that, get comfortable. You could do it for 7 days or a month, but then have a game plan in place. And then before you know it, 6 months it's going to go by. And then all of a sudden you're doing like, wow, I'm doing green juice every day. In fact, I'm doing it twice a day. I'm bouncing on a rebounder. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Wow, I even got a test to look at my gut. Like you're going to get there. And by the way, there is no there, right? But my point is it's about
Yes.
progress, not perfection. Every single day, what can I do this day to make this a better choice, right? A better choice, a better choice. So it's not going to mean like that you're not going to make bad choices. I still make bad choices, once in a while. I don't beat myself up. I just get right back at it. You got to get right back at it and course correct. But if you wait too long, then all of a sudden, like you're way out here, it's a little bit harder to get back.
And then it becomes a medical issue, and then it becomes something you have to take medicine for, and then potentially you're doing, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you're doing work on the back end just to fix your gut that was damaged from an antibiotic or something else, not something that is health promoting. It's just there to fix a problem that maybe could have been prevented in the first place. Again, this is not to scare people, and if you're on medication, then whatever you're taking, if it's working, like go do your thing. This is stuff that will supplement an already mindful lifestyle or put you on the path to where you want to be. But if you do want to win this package of everything, just go to the Instagram Hotter Than Health podcast and tag whoever you think would be benefiting from this episode, and we'll reach out if you win. But I do think, yeah.
If you are on a medication, like that's fine. Like, be on that medication for now with the hope at some point to getting off that, but stay on that medication, but start to drive health into your body, start to build health. And as you build health over time, guess what's going to happen? The body's not going to actually require that medication because the body gets better, not through better chemistry, but by better function. And better function, I'm talking about better foods, better movement, better ability to manage stress, all those things. And when the body's ready, when you're ready, in conjunction with your doctor, then we'll slowly wean yourself down. This is what I do with all my clients that are on reflux medication. I had a client, I think we talked about it last time. She had 80 milligrams of omeprazole. If I stopped her off that, her body would have been in a catastrophic rebound. You can never do that. But what I did do was I put in some things in for her upper GI tract that calmed it, that soothed it, that started to heal the inflammation. We started adding the things that she needed. We cleaned up her diet. We did it at her pace. And before we knew it, we were able to start to slowly wean back. And now, a year and a half later, she's off of all medication. She's thriving. She's eating healthy. She's eating balanced. She knows what that balance is for her. She found her balance, but she's not a customer of the sick care industry anymore. And that's the thing.
I just don't want people listening to this to, in any sense, feel overwhelmed and then look back in a year from now and wish that they had started. This is something that it can be free. It can be putting your feet in the grass. It can be turning your phone on airplane mode tonight and then in the morning putting some salt in your water before you have your coffee. Like there are a lot of little ways that you can, if you make a small commitment to yourself and then you keep that every day, I think that really does provide confidence to taking that next step. And that's what this giveaway is for, is just for supporting that next step wherever you are. But if we could go on for 75 more hours, I would love that. But I know that people are busy and you have a right now, Jesus, round 3. I'm absolutely gonna call you for a round 3.
We do need to teach people how to go from the standard American diet, SAD diet, which is 17 meals and snacks a day. Yes, that's what the average person's doing, to go to intermittent fasting, because people hear this buzzword. It is a big in vogue thing. And I remember I was in New York City and we were out at an outdoor cafe and some woman was bashing intermittent fasting. It didn't work. And I'm just sitting there laughing. Like, oh, because you didn't do it the right way. You got to do it in a way that's kind of meet your body where it's at. It's a gradual increase. You can't go from one extreme to the other extreme. It's just like New Year's. It's like you can't go from one extreme and all of a sudden say, here we go. And then all of a sudden 2 weeks later, you're done. So there is a really responsible, healthy way to take somebody, if they're interested in intermittent fasting, to do it the right way. And I outline it in one of the chapters of Get Over Sugar, but it's definitely a very cool way to do it. And intermittent fasting is powerful. It just, free stem cells, it's incredible.
This is what you call a, what is it called? Some kind of tease. No, yes, a hook. This is what you call clickbait.
And that was an intentional hook.
This is what you call clickbait for the next episode.
Yeah.
But Either way, thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time,
Liza.
Dr.
Wow.
Daryl. You were amazing. And again, I'll put all of this information in the show notes so that you all can familiarize yourself with it. If you can, I mean, this is my notepad is full. I have
Love
been
it.
taking so many notes with the Gopal nut butter, mold-free coffee, the 5 supplements, magnesium, omega-3, fish oil, DHA, probiotic, D3, K2. I can't keep up. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. But again, this is the stuff that interests me, and I know it interests people who are listening, and those who are willing to even just start on the journey, or who are already far advanced. Maybe this is all information that they already knew, but if it's not, I hope that everyone can take something away. But thank you so much, and
Thank you. Thank you. And
yeah, and
if I could just say one thing about that
yeah,
last thing you said, was that was so important what you just said, because I was again in Dallas this week with a lot of like really just incredible minds, and like I'm hearing things that, oh yeah, I knew that, but like, oh yeah, I gotta be doing that. Like, even me, there's so many things that like it's out of sight, out of mind. So, just pick one thing and just put it into play, put it into action. As I say, get off the bleachers. Joe Dispenza said this: get off the bleachers, get onto the court, get onto the playing field. Doesn't matter how little or how much right now. It's just about getting into the game. And if you do that, you're gonna make progress. And that's the name of the game. We don't want to be perfect. I had that mentality for years. It's about progress. And Eliza, I just want to thank you for again having me on for the second time. You're so easy to talk to, and you just dumb it down to all your listeners, which is important. We got to literally keep it. We got to
yeah.
do that. Sometimes I like to just go off the rails and get crazy, but I love the way that you explain it to people. You make it real. You make it really digestible, no pun intended. And you're just a really easy person to connect with. So thank you for what you're doing for everybody. You're helping so many people in so many ways with this information from your podcast, and I just appreciate you. And I'm here for you. I'm here for your listeners. I answer all my DMs. If anyone has any question, DM me. If you want to go do
You
some
really
gut
do. You're
testing,
on it.
do
You're
it. Yeah, no,
active.
but to me, there's nothing more important. That's where I want to spend most of my time, because that's like at the nitty gritty of it. This is where this is like at the battlefield. Like, this is where the war is won. This is where we need it. So yeah. Here
Well,
for
thank
everybody.
you.
Keep on going on, everybody, and don't stop. All right, just keep going.
What an episode, what a guy, what a part 2, what a giveaway we have. Thank you for listening. I hope you all enjoyed that. And remember, if you want to win the alkalizing black coffee, acid kicking minerals, the acid kicking black seed oil, the D3, K2, the plant-based protein, and potentially some other goodies, make sure you head over to Hotter Than Health Podcast on Instagram. Make sure you're following, and every single comment on my most recent Instagram post is an entry to win. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. You take this information, take what you like, take a few facts, a few snippets, listen to it again, share it with a friend. And again, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave us 5 stars and write a quick review about what you liked about this episode so that more people can find episodes and podcasts like Hotter Than Health. If you're listening on Spotify, just click follow, and we will talk to you with another amazing episode next week.